The idea and the expectations is that after this meetup, even if you never touched GraphQL or just heard about it, you just read about it, you should already know if you want to move to GraphQL or not, or at least if you want to try it for yourself or not. So let's see if this will live up to the expectations. Just before we start, I'd like to know if anybody has actually really any practical usage of GraphQL. Anybody use it anywhere? Or even played with it? Okay, good. Good. People. The rest, just anybody who never heard of that thing? So everybody read a little bit, but never tried it. Okay? This is important for me, so I know how to set the pace of this meeting. It's interesting if you never tried it. What made you so interested in it? There's one single point anybody can say that thing made me interested in GraphQL, so I came to this meetup. Is there
Beer and pizza.
Huh?
Beer and pizza.
No, that's two things. I said one.
You have to choose.
The fact that the backend and the front-end developers don't have to talk about every single property.
Yeah, everybody has the front-end developers. Good one. Anybody else?
Maybe speed.
Speed.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
More flexibility in terms of what data you actually get sent.
Okay, this maybe related to what he says. Speed, maybe a little bit. Could be. Any other points? Because I also have a point, and it's none of those mentioned. But I'll tell you my point at the end of the meetup, not now. Why I like GraphQL. Those things are true, what you say?
Is this something related to the relations?
Not really.
I also have control over the entities. What you
So nobody likes the static typing in GraphQL? I heard some people coming from Java, C#. Okay. I don't have a presentation. We're going to do some live coding. Because otherwise, presentations make no sense. I'm also not very good at presentations. So, let's hit some interesting stuff. Today I prepared a few things. I prepared a REST API. I'm sure everybody had any experience with the REST API, right? I don't believe that people don't know about REST API. So we're going to look at some REST APIs, and then we're going to look at how this transforms to GraphQL. Let's see what you can do with REST and what you can do with GraphQL. And we're going to hit some real data. Before I start, I just want to run my servers locally. So, okay, this is good. Is that readable? There on top, can you see well? It's okay?
Sure.
So that's the data we're going to work with today. It's really simple data. We have an amazing collection of books, whole 2 books, and 2 authors. Okay? But it's important to know it's static data. There is no database. So there is no select, join, nothing. Okay? Pure data. So we're going to work with this, with GraphQL today. As you see, nothing magic, nothing hidden. That's it. So let's see what we can do with this. I'm going to show you now. So here's my REST API. You get all the books. Here are my authors. Just like in the file, right? So it's really loaded with data. It's not fake or anything. I had some ID on one. Yeah, there we go. Maybe this one. So here's my third API, which says API authors and the ID to get a single author, right? Okay? Nothing magic so far. So, how do you suggest I get the books of this author? That's REST. Everybody knows. Some suggestion?
Slash books,
Slash books?
for example.
What if I want to get the publisher of the books? Which publisher should I do?
Sorry?
I also want to get, when I get all the books of this author, I want to get all the publishers as well. The publishing company. What should I do? Should I call also publisher or something?
It will be strange.
Yeah. Or should I maybe make one call to get the author, and then make a second call to get the books, and make a third call to get the publishers?
Yeah, that would work.
That will work?
It would work, yeah.
What about the fun? Where's the fun? So I just wanted to, it was really simple data, right? Books and authors, and I'm already fucking stuck into this. I don't know how to relate my data, how to get everything I want. It's just so simple. Right? Do I have to really make 3 API calls for this? Okay, so let's get to this point from the GraphQL point of view, okay? So at this point we're already pissed at REST, and we want to see if there's any alternative, because it's just the third try. What if I have 10 different entities? What do we do then? With GraphQL, we have to know a few things before we start. It's a query language. So it communicates between 2 separate services, most widely known front end and a back end. So it allows your front end to query your back end, but can also be a back end query your another back end. And just because of this, to be language agnostic, Facebook had to create their own syntax for it. Okay? So what you're gonna see is gonna look like JSON, but it's not JSON. It just looks like JSON. And I'm gonna open the first GraphQL file. As you can see, it really looks like JSON, but it's not. Please keep this in mind. So what we have here, to make GraphQL works, you have to tell GraphQL 2 main things. First, you have to describe your data. And second, you have to teach GraphQL how to get this data. GraphQL doesn't know how to get the data. It's not a database, it's only a query language. It's a language, so you can craft queries to get data. Quick overview. First, we define type book, which has an ID, where's the title, as an author. Should I open again? ID, title, author. We get to the published one. So you have to describe your data, and you have to describe the type of the data. That's really important because GraphQL is really a static type language, really. If you say something is a string and you pass an integer, it's gonna fail. Like the people know from Java, and it's not like Flow or TypeScript that checks the types at compile time, but it really does it at runtime while you use it. So it's real type, static type language. And then we also have to describe the author. It has an ID, first name, last name, publication, and a book. And here I just gave an example how you can dynamically extend any of the types. That's important for later on, what comes later on. There's some special types. These are custom types. I can call this whatever I want. I can call it a magazine, I can call it a newspaper. But there's some built-in types, such as a query. And when you read query, it's actually a real query. It's a query that you make to another service to get data. So in this sense, I said I want to query all books and all authors. And I want the return result to be an array of books. So book is a single book of this entity represented here. But because I have multiple books, I want an array of books. Same for the author. So I want an array of authors when I call this. When you develop GraphQL, Facebook thought about it that it's a bit complicated at the beginning, just to learn the syntax and play around with it. So bundled with the whole thing comes a playground developed from Facebook. So as soon as you start your own GraphQL server, you have a playground on your local. Now I'm going to open that one. That is the playground. Here you can run your queries. So first query. This also looks like a little bit like how should I say JSON again, the query language here in the playground, but it's not. So first thing, I'm gonna try to load the books just like I did with the REST API, right? So I just want to load all books. Ah, look, this playground already knows that I have this, so it auto suggests for me. Okay, so I'm gonna select that, and I'm gonna play with it. It says field books of type book must have a selection of subfields. So it looks like this playground already knows that I have subfields, right? This book is represented as an object. So what I need to do is actually select some of the subfields. So I go, okay, it's also auto-suggests for me. That's really nice. Aha! So now I said I want all titles of all books. So it gives me all titles. But what's interesting is that it doesn't give me all the data, but it gives me only the title. Because I asked only for the title. So if I want something else, I can say, give me the ID. Now I have also the ID here. So that's really nice. First thing somebody said, you said performance and you said flexibility. It gives you to select only the data you need. So when a front end asks a backend for a bunch of data, let's say I need a user profile which has 100 properties, but I need only 2 of them. Why should I get all of them when I can get only 2 of them, right? Doesn't make sense. So GraphQL gives you this out of the box. So that's what a lot of people call overfetching. It's when you fetch data that you don't need. It's called overfetching. And GraphQL saves you all this, so it doesn't travel from the backend to the front end, this data that you don't need.
And how do you make select all, for example?
Select all?
Yeah.
You cannot make select all, it's dangerous. Only MySQL has this. You must select, you must say what you need. It's very specific language.
How would we get the author name now? From having the books, I want to save the book, and let's say, what's the author name?
What's the author name?
Yeah.
That's what we're getting now.
Oh, okay.
Soon.
Sorry.
But yeah, good question, that's good. So, same thing for authors. Again, it knows that I have a subfield, so let's get the first name of the author. Now these are 2 separate queries, of course. So I get the first name of the author. But there's one thing. Backend is already done for me. I describe my data. And I showed GraphQL how to get the data. Basically, I just dump the files, that's all. And this query will be written by the front-end guys. So how does the front-end guy know what property belongs to the author, for example? How do I know that's the first name? I mean, I wrote the data, but how would you know?
Maybe there is some scheme that they use and it's describing the data and...
Very good, very good. Very well. Well, it turns out that once you describe your data, GraphQL generates documentation automatically for you, which you can see here. Okay, I hope you can see it.
Yeah,
There you go, I will just... So, as soon as you click the docs here, you can see that, I have a books query and an authors query. So if I click on the books query, it even tells me what's inside. So I can really quickly check it. So think about it. If I'm a backend guy and I describe this data, the front-end guy doesn't need to call me and it's like, hey, what did you name the author field? He can just open the docs and see for himself, right? He can even see what type it is. So that at the end, in the backend, you don't get null as a string, right? And that's kind of nice. That's kind of nifty. We're already reducing communication between front-end and back-end developers. Here, right here, tremendously. But so you said that you want to see each author which books they have, right?
Yeah, correct.
So just by getting the basic feeling of how you query data, It's really natural. You get author's first name. What do you want to see? How do you want to query data here? Authors, book maybe. Ah, there you go. We get the book, but it's sort of an integer.
You add title and ID, next it with one more.
So I put book to be an integer. Maybe I wanted to relate it, to make a relation, but we don't have a database. So how are we gonna join this? That's just JavaScript array. So how are we gonna join this? Are we gonna use a lot of for each and map?
Books, book ID and title. So you can use the book like one in the array. Books.
Some sort of a mapper, maybe?
Yeah.
But that's not nice, especially in JavaScript. I don't know what other languages, but in JavaScript, that would be ugly. Well, what if GraphQL thought about this already?
Can't you change the type from int to book?
Yes, I can. It's all. Okay. Should I run it now? Let's see what happens. Ah. So it's asking for the subfields of the book. Okay. But this time it doesn't auto suggest anything. And it gives me some sort of an error here, or I don't know. No. Book title is null.
We still have.
How would GraphQL know that it needs to join the two different data types? Because we didn't tell GraphQL to do that.
Do it needs? I'm not sure.
I think it needs, it doesn't know how to do that. We have to describe it. Should we do that? I say let's make it easier. Let's define a new query and call it, let's get the author by ID. It will take an ID. So we just get a single author and we get all the books of this author. Okay? Is this clear? What we defined? It's just a definition, it's like schema, only schema, that's it. So in order for GraphQL to understand how to get this data, how to satisfy this schema, it has something called resolvers. And resolver means how to resolve the data. So in the schema, we tell what we expect, and the resolvers, we teach GraphQL how to get it. So we have to follow the schema here, and just say author by ID. And we have to tell GraphQL how to get the data. So since we don't work with the database, we don't have anything to search with, I installed Lodash. Maybe some people know who use JavaScript. It's just some functional library to query some arrays and stuff. So I'm going to use this one just to get the data. Basically, it runs like this. So from all authors, and you have to pass a callback. So it's an author. And we have to compare if the ID of the author is the same as the one we're searching for. So ideally, should be some sort of an ID. So when GraphQL loads this resolver to find the data, it provides some arguments. It provides the context. It's like the parent, and then provides some arguments. In our case, we get the ID of this. So now we are able to call author by ID in our query and get a single author. Okay? So far looks like a little bit like the REST. You have the specific REST point API for a single author, and then just get only this data. No books again, nothing. Just the author. So let's see how this works out. Go back to the browser. Let's check the docs. Aha, here's our author by ID here. And again, it just returns a bunch of books. In our case, it should be 2. Okay, so we should be able to call our author by ID. This time it expects an ID as an argument. It even knows that. And the ID, let's query author with ID 1, okay? Tell me there is an error here.
Double quotes.
There you go. It even insists on double quotes. So GraphQL, the playground is so well designed that it will tell you even the smallest mistake you make. It's like, it's almost impossible to deploy something wrong on GraphQL. It's really impossible. I don't remember if we ever made any mistakes. So what did you do here? Looks like there is an error. Did we make any mistakes?
ID, maybe integer or so.
Yeah, ID is a built-in. It's a little bit special.
Okay.
So it's a built-in static type in GraphQL. But I made a mistake here. Can you see it? I just made it on purpose so that you see how GraphQL corrects me in every step.
It's the ID, obviously. It's in red.
I think this is my ID, just colors for this. But yeah, not bad. Well, I just wanted to get the author by ID, but I told GraphQL to return books somehow.
So either it should return author, or in some way you're specifying how to map, maybe, or
It's either one. So to correct this, I need to return the author because I'm really querying an author by ID. Okay. Now I call the title on the book, so apparently this is wrong. Now works. And I get exactly 1. Okay, I have also last name. And I have a book. Again, the text of the book has subfields. But again, null. Why null?
do you have to say that maybe there should be some explicit definition of how the author and book map?
That's exactly how GraphQL works. So first, then we have to show GraphQL how to get the books. And then we're going to do exactly that right now. So in the resolvers, as you see, we have the query resolver, which is exactly the same as this type. So this schema, we describe how to get the data. So authors is exactly this array here, and we just query it by ID. It's like nothing special here. this find really just iterates through over the array and selects the one with the ID. That's all it does. But now it's a little bit special. So in order for the author to say how to find the book, we must specify our own resolver. So it goes like this. We have an author and say for this author, give me all the books. It's a function, of course, JavaScript. And this parameter author here is the actual data. One of these objects will be passed here. And again, I'm going to use the underscore. And from all books, I need to select the book ID, which equals the author book. So, book ID needs to match the author book. So this is actually the foreign field. Okay, let's try that. Ha, it works. Can we get more? Yes. So now we got the author and all the books he wrote. I need the other way around as well. What about if we have a book and we get the author? Does that make sense? Do you think?
Yeah. So I saw that I have a stupid question. What we have is a book which has an author ID, and then the author has a book ID.
You have very good eyes.
And
I must say.
pretty much you can do the same the other way around. But what happens if you want to change the ID? So one of them, let's say you want to change the ID, and then turns out that let's say author with ID A1 has a relation, or is, let's say, targeting book with ID 1. Now the book, let's say, if you go to 5th line and you change the author to be 2, what happens then?
There's only one way to find out.
So now if you do the query of
But you actually wanted to do the opposite way.
yes, so if you do it in the both ways, what will happen, because they're just targeting a different IDs and it's not
So I move this to 1, and here you want to say if it's 2 or?
yeah, for example.
What did you expect?
Nothing different. So now if you do like book by ID in similar way like this one, it will give you different book and author, right? So is there any way to keep the state, or it's just because it looks kind of magic? So if I try to, I'm not sure how we do updates here, but if we try to update author and forget to update the book ID, or let's say that it's kind of referencing to the wrong thing.
So this book already refers to the first author, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the first author refers to the second book.
Mm-hmm.
But because we only query by author, by first author, we get his book here.
Right. Okay.
So that's nothing complicated here, right?
Okay.
If you say book 3, which doesn't exist, will be what? No. Because data is missing. But I suggest let's implement the query by book by ID and then get the author. Let's see the other way around what happens. Okay. By ID, so it will be exactly the same. But we'll return a book. Okay? So this is the schema. Of course, we have to create a resolver here. So on each book, we get the author. And check. Yes, it was book author and the ID. So anybody didn't get what I just did? Anybody didn't understand? So I defined now another query to get a single book by its ID, right? Okay, that's the schema, and this is the implementation. Books and authors is again just this data. Books and authors. That's it. Static data. So now if we go back to the browser, we can check that we have the book by ID. Doesn't work. Why?
The ID.
But why it allowed me to actually query? That doesn't make much sense. I don't understand why it actually would allow me to do that. If it's so good with catching errors, why did it allow me to query without an ID?
It's JavaScript.
No, this time is a developer. This time is not the JavaScript. Any guesses?
Maybe.
In some cases, you need to query without an ID.
The-
That's fine.
That could be a business. That could be a business case. Yes.
Author
But-
type.
Hmm?
Author type in the book. It says int. It
Yeah.
should be
Yes,
author.
that we can change to author. That's good. But to make GraphQL force people to use the ID, there is a special syntax, and this makes this ID required now. If I do that. So you can force developers actually so now it tells me that ID is required. And if I do this, I will load. So it tells me it expects an ID of 1, for example. But now I don't get the book by ID. Why is that?
You need to edit the query also.
Didn't hear well.
You need to add book by ID in query object. In the query object on line 7.
On line 7,
Yes.
Yeah,
In the end of
I'm
the
confused by ID, it's also flat. Move on.
okay.
Yes,
Does it look good now?
a bit better.
Aha! So what did we forget?
There's also.
So we told GraphQL what to expect, but we didn't teach GraphQL how to do that. Okay, that's good. Yeah?
Why are you giving the ID as a string? Can't you give it?
Now the answer is JavaScript. It's because JavaScript cannot handle big integers. It's coming to JavaScript, but it currently cannot handle, so they decided the ID to be a string always. So if you get a huge ID, a huge number,
Yeah.
It treats it as a string. That's the only reason that I don't want to argue with Facebook. Let's look at the type definition. So what do we get here? We get a book, and we already told GraphQL how to relate to the author, right? We have an author, and already told GraphQL how to relate to the book. We have everything in place. So can we test something? Like, can we call the author of the book? Okay, of course it asks for the subfields. Okay, we can, just like we did with the previous relationship, right? So first name, last name. So I get the book by ID, I get the title of the book, I can get the author, which is completely different data set. I can get the first name, last name of the author. But I'm a very experimental person. Yeah? I like to experiment with technology.
You can have the book again if you like.
I want to add the book again. Ooh, it actually gives me that. Huh. So I got this book's author and this author's book again. But can I go again? Like, I want to get this book's author. Ha! Works. So how far can I go? Because we already teach GraphQL how to get each relation, so it just keeps going, right? GraphQL doesn't care, it just keeps going. And yeah, I can continue. Until the server runs out of resources.
Or the beer gets colder.
Gets colder. So this is very useful that you get nested data, related data, but somebody can use this to sort of warm up your server really quickly, in 2-3 minutes, right? I can run these nested queries indefinitely. So what's the solution to this? One of the solutions is that you can limit the depth, we call it. You say only run until you hit depth 3 and that's it. And then return an error. That's possible. Some people solve this in a very funny way. They do a timeout on the query. So after 30 seconds you can time out the query, which is not a good solution. If you read about it, don't do this because you don't know during the timeout what happens. You never know, some weird effects. So the limiting the depth is the correct solution in this case. But there's something else. Okay, we made this working, okay? But there's something else I don't like. If I go back to my code, look how my queries look like. Are they any different than the REST queries actually? The only difference is that I make only one call and get all the data. I don't need to make 2 or 3 calls. Okay, that's nice. But still, I have to call this author by ID and book by ID. I mean, I don't like that personally. Don't know about you. So question is there anything we can do about this to make it more compact, shorter? We don't get so many queries. Because the more we have 10 data types, we get 10 queries. That's not very nice.
Can we have the ID just as an optional parameter, like we did just some time ago, and then you make it mandatory?
You can make it mandatory.
Oh, just keeping it optional.
You can keep it optional, but if you skip it, what should you expect as a result?
All the books.
All the books.
Yeah, actually all the authors.
So you want to make one query called books, for example, and if you pass an ID, you get one book, but if you don't, you get all the books.
For example.
But then comes the front-end developer and says, I'm really confused. Why you left this optional? And then we're back at the communication again.
Yeah.
Right? What did GraphQL thought about this? And as a nice solution? So all these people who work with static languages like Java and stuff, you heard about interfaces, right? So GraphQL supports also interfaces. And supports them in a much more interesting way. Let's define one interface, just to give an example. Let's call it a node, something very generic. So this interface, we say it must have an ID, okay? And ID is required. So now to follow this interface, we change our schema like this. And it automatically changed, this was not required. So now we have a contract between our data and the interface. This works exactly like all languages that support interfaces. You must implement the interface, that's it. No magic here at all. What if we say that we want to query by an interface? So I will add another query. I want to get a node, any node, okay? It takes an ID because it's required. And because I don't know what it returns, I will say I need an array of nodes. We don't have any nodes in the data, right? We have only authors and books. So if we run this, what do you think will happen? It's just a schema interface, that's it, no data behind this.
Empty array. An empty array.
An empty array. Of what? But we have to go to the resolvers and teach actually how to get data. So what Facebook implemented, that you can search an interface and you can get the data of all data that it implements. So if I search this interface, I can get both author and a book in the same dataset. Does that make sense? So you don't need to call book by ID and author by ID, but you can call node by ID and get the book with the same ID and the author with the same ID in the same call. Does that sound useful? Is it clear what happens if I search by an interface in GraphQL? So everywhere we call author, we know what we return. But for the interface, we don't know. Okay, we have an ID, which is everywhere. But if I get the ID of the book, I have a title, and in the author, I don't have a title. So there's a clash of attributes. So they say if you search an interface, you get as a result all the data that this interface implements. So in a single query, I can get a book and an author with the same ID. They will not be related because book with ID 1 doesn't have to be an author with ID 1, but I get both. That's what it says in the documentation. Can you visualize it? Or is it too abstract? So, should we try it? Let's see if it works. But I'm missing one thing. I don't have the schema for the interface for title, author, and first name, last name. So, how should I do that?
Can you inherit a node in some way, or you have to build another interface?
You mean to build another type? With
Yeah,
all these properties?
Yeah, can you have, let's say, another type which implements first name and then can in some way inherit node?
You can extend.
So if you can extend it in that way, or another option, you need to build another interface which
But
has the idea of first
Yeah,
name.
but that would be too much copy paste because you already have the first name here. Then I have to copy it over the other node, right? Actually, I have to copy all the different attributes. Is that what you mean?
Kind of, if you can extend the current node, so you reuse the ID that you have already inside.
So you're sort of asking if we can merge the difference between book and author somehow?
No, if you have another, let's say, type which is person, and the person has first name.
Yeah, you can.
Yes, and I can build a second type which inherits node, and then I add just the first name. And now what I have in this type is node is ID and first name, and I can search for the author and person by these two things.
Okay, but you still have to copy paste first name, last name, all the differences.
Yeah, we have.
But that's not nice at all. Looks like Facebook also don't like it. So they thought of a very interesting solution. Remember how we described the relationship of author and a book? You can do this for an interface as well. So it looks like this. You add another node, but instead of, because you don't know what to call here, you don't know if it returns a book or an author. And if there is no author, it returns only a book. If there is no book, it returns only an author, right? So they added a special private method called resolve type, which just takes an object. And now it's a little bit funny. How do you check which type currently returns? You have to check the attributes actually. So it goes like this. If object author, for example, then you return a book. Because only the book has the author object, right? I'll show you right now. So this object here will be either an object of a book or of an author. And you say, if this object has an author, only book has an author property, then it must be a book. Do you understand that? How we decide which data type this interface will return?
So the question now is, how do you have the protection that if you remove the author or you change the scheme, this will break, right?
This will break, yes.
Okay. Is there any kind of check for that, which can be automated, and you can make sure that the resolvers, their state is still valid? So you make some changes, you run some kind of tests or anything which can check if that will still work with your current data.
So if you remove something that, for example, in the resolvers is missing,
Yeah.
the playground will tell you most of the time.
Okay.
Because otherwise you need some static analysis or something to figure this out. So you need to run to reload the playground, usually tell you all the mistakes you made. And now I'm gonna add actually this node here.
In the result type, can we check object by type, not by attribute?
Type of?
To be honest, I'm not a big fan of typeof in JavaScript. Because when we do a type of array, it gives you object also. So it's not very reliable, to be honest. I'm not sure if anybody used typeof reliably ever in JavaScript. I didn't. Maybe in the Java implementation for GraphQL this is different, you can use it, but this is the recommended way to go in JavaScript. So this is really JavaScript specific type of check. I had very funny side effects with using typeof. Never used typeof, by me personally. Because really type of array is object, everything type of null object, so that's JavaScript. So this seems to be the most reliable way in JavaScript to check that you're really hitting a specific object. So I'm going to provide a resolver. I'm going to teach GraphQL how to get this data now. So I'm going to join books and authors because I need all the data. So I get some sort of an object and object ID equals ID. So theoretically, if I call the node by ID, I should be able to get something, right? We have the schema. We have the schema. And we have the resolver. And we should get something. I'm going to remove this. it tells me that I have only an ID, but also these two interfaces. How do I go from this point on now? It tells me that I get a result for both. So I will search for ID 1. But what do I do next? So it tells me that I search for an ID, and if ID 1, and if there is a book with ID 1 and an author of ID 1, I get both. So how do I access this? So for the books, we used to get title, for example, right? But here it doesn't seem to have title. So there's a weird language construct that says access the inherited data type, which looks like this. Aha, now I can get it. Let's try the book. It works also. So we get actually a mixed type of data this way. What's the idea? The idea is that now we can delete all these queries and just use the node query. That's the whole idea. You actually search on top of the interface, and everything that implements this interface gives you data back if it matches. Does that make sense? It's not something easy to wrap around, but so freaking powerful. You can do so many things with this that you can't even believe it. Is there anything was not clear on this topic of interfaces? You get graphical data in graphs, and you can query from each way. So basically you can make one really powerful query which gives you basically a whole database. You can do that as well if you want, in a single shot. I want to show you something else that Facebook implemented. It's called directives. So here's one directive here in my schema. It's called deprecate. It's a directive which is built into GraphQL, so you can just call it. Imagine that this data is a bit old, we want to update it, and you want to remove some fields, right? So let's say publications is not needed anymore. So besides saying that publications is an integer, you can say also that it's deprecated. And if you put as deprecated, it will deprecate it. I'll show you how. Was it on the author? I can't see it here. Here it says deprecated. So you can start deprecating attributes so that front-end guys can see and stop using this. And you're free to put whatever your message you like. But the cool thing is not so much deprecating stuff. I mean, yeah, deprecating is good, you remove from your repo. But the cool thing is that you can have your own directives, custom directives. You can develop your own to do anything. You can have a directive to say, is authenticated. And if this returns false, then the asking side doesn't get the last name, it's not authenticated. It gets the rest but not the last name. Or you could have his role and check if it's admin. And only get if it's admin. And there's 1 million custom directives that people already built online. Just npm install or whatever your package manager is in your language, and you get them directly. It's like a bunch of them, amazing, so many. So how do you achieve this with REST APIs?
difficult.
Depends from the language and technology.
So I agree. GraphQL has a weird language structure, weird syntax, but the possibilities are amazing, are really endless. I want to show you one thing now, really interesting. I'm going to remove those because they don't exist and this will fail. I prepared one custom directive for you, but before that, I'm still running my RESTful API, and I would like to migrate my API to GraphQL. What do you think would be a good move, or good first step? I only have the REST API. I just learned a little bit about GraphQL and I want to start migrating it from REST API to GraphQL. What do you think I can do? Something that will not break anything. I still want to have the REST API, but I want to start my GraphQL service.
Can you just add a node and
Restart
use
the
that
node.
node in some way?
Say again?
Can you kind of keep it on the RESTful service running? But then
It's running right now on my local.
Yeah. Okay. So and then implement a node and kind of integrate it with the current data. So build the resolvers for the current data and the type inclusions. And then let's say front-end team can start migrating to GraphQL.
I can do that. Specific node. I can do that. But I can do something more brave than that. And instead of returning this whole array here, I can fetch my API. So I already installed node fetch, and this is really my local, so it's really gonna hit my local. So if I go back to my browser now, I'm just gonna connect this, and I go back to the very first query that I developed, I still get that, and this really hits my API. So what did I just do? I set up my new GraphQL server, and I made it call my REST API. Why? Because now I can make my front end, instead of calling the REST API, call the GraphQL and get the same data, right? But still I can get only the data I need. Do you understand what I did? Just Ajax call, that's all. Really just Ajax call.
What will happen in documentation?
Huh?
What we can see in docs?
Nothing should change in the docs? Only?
It is the schema. So
Yeah, it's just a schema, so nothing will change. But there's something else. I don't like it. It's not very nice. Also, you know, this hot topic, hey, where do you call your data? Is it in controllers or, I don't know, services? I don't like that. So, what can I do about it? How can I improve this? Any ideas?
Get the whole data and separate it in with GraphQL.
You mean in a directive?
Maybe. You will say.
So I create my own RESTful directive. So there is already a signature for this to do in GraphQL. So you can have everything, all your fetch and return everything from a directive. So should we use this directive instead of the fetch and see how it works? So what I need to do is, because it's custom directive, I also need to import it here. It's called directive. I just named it REST, not very smart name. And you have to say, you have to tell GraphQL where you're going to execute this. So is it the field definition, or is it the type definition, or is it the query? Because GraphQL validates even this. If you call it in the wrong place, it will tell you you're not calling it right. Because this is wrong. So to use this directive, what do I need to do?
Field definition isn't, fields aren't ID, title.
Exactly,
so on.
exactly.
Type?
Yeah.
On type, maybe.
On type. But book becomes also a field definition because of the relation we call also as a field definition in the query. So the possibilities become really endless here. You can use everything on everything. What about here? Is books a type or is it a field?
A field.
Okay. So what if I do this? Just like I called the deprecated here. What if I call rest here? What do you think will happen? You will call the API, right? Should. I expect that.
Maybe.
Works. But is it calling my API? Let me double check that. I go to the resolvers. I still have this. I'll remove that. Just to be sure it doesn't call this, right? Works, still works. So the idea is that with, let me go back to my code. You can have actually directives to fetch data for you, and then you don't even need the query anymore to specify a resolver. This here is enough on its own. And the even cooler thing is that you can chain directives. You can say rest, is auth, whatever. You can chain as many as you want. So in terms of JavaScript, it's a weird language, but all this does is a higher order function. It's a function that wraps another function. It's that simple they make under the hood. But here is very readable. If you look at the schema, you should know immediately what's going on and how to do that. It's a bit weird, but once you get it working, you can do amazing stuff with this. Because think about it. I can fetch my book in one line, check the auth and everything in RESTful APIs. What do you need to do to achieve this? It's called acrobatics. So this is kind of cool. We know how to teach our front end to talk to our back end. But in a lot of modern companies, people use a lot of microservices. Like we in coliquio have maybe about 60 microservices. So how do we go using GraphQL? So we have a client GraphQL and we have a server GraphQL. Client GraphQL talks to the server GraphQL, gets data, boom, user happy. But what if my client needs data from 10 microservices? What do we do then? That's the question. How do we go about this? And each microservice is independent. So I could have a book service, a server on its own that just serves books, and I have an author, I could have a publisher, I could have 10 more. How do I get this data together?
GraphQL.
So there's something really interesting that came out about a month ago called GraphQL Federation that does exactly this for you. It knows how to combine schema of multiple services and make it into one and allow your front end to query what it needs. And I built one for you. I want to show you really quickly. Just want to make sure it's started. note that this playground is running on another port. See? It's not the same. On this port, I'm running GraphQL Federation. In GraphQL Federation, I will open also the code for you. Really quickly, I'll show you something. Driving is really difficult here. That's the whole deal. The new application is called Apollo Gateway, and you just start it with your service list. So accounts is a service, separate service, which really runs here. Reviews, products, inventory, everything runs in its own service, right? It's a microservice architecture. So in a few lines of code, you are able to merge the schema. Let's have a look. I don't know what's in there. That's not the books anymore. So I'm gonna hit the docs. I have top products and me. Maybe I get myself, my profile. Let's see. Okay, so if I call me, I get a user, and this user has name. Let's try that. Okay, this works. But this user also has reviews. And according to the documentation, it's a custom scheme, right? So this reviews maybe runs somewhere else in another service, not in the same. So let's just call it. Okay. I don't know what's in the reviews, so I go further. I have body. Let's see what's in the body. That means that I posted 2 reviews about products, maybe. I'm not sure. Let's see. Yeah, right. I posted a review on a product. Looks like there's a product property which belongs to yet another service, microservice running somewhere else. Let's get that. Let's see. I don't know what's on the product. Okay, we have a price. We have in stock. We have name. Let's get some name and price. So it looks like I bought a table for almost 900, and I love it apparently. An account which is too expensive. But what's the whole deal about this? That me as a front end, I can get the current user profile, get his name, get all his reviews, and get all the products he reviewed in a one single query. So the front end guys needs to write these 12 lines of code to get all this. That's it. It's not even code, it's really configuring the query. That's all it needs. And the best of all, they don't even know about the existence of microservices. They have no idea what's running on the back end. You have no idea. Maybe these are 50 microservices run by 50 different teams. It's a huge organization, why not? And me as a front end, I don't need to know all this to make my job work. That's all a front end guy needs to write in GraphQL to get all the data. That's all.
I have a question. What happens if one of those microservices goes down?
One microservice goes down, you get null.
Will it still return, will it return nulls, or will it just not work?
Return null. It's like the book ID that didn't exist.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Well, unless you make something like throw exception somewhere.
Yeah, sure. Okay, cool.
So what do you call this? That's actually the single biggest reason I decided that I love GraphQL. I call this developer experience. A very nice one. You get static typings, you cannot submit a string to an integer, you get only the data you need, and you get it in a very, very genuinely logical way. I get myself my name, I reduce and everything. I don't need to expand huge REST data or payloads to find my data. I know what I need and I get it immediately. I don't need to iterate or get the first element or second element. I don't need to think about this thing. Just give me what I need. Very cool developer experience.